Alright guys, what I'm going to show y'all how to do in this video is using this team play software to completely annihilate the game. One of the ways to, if you want to just annihilate the game, you got to approach it, like I've often said, like a business. You got to know what the costs are in order to be successful. Not how much you have, but what does it cost to be successful. Now that cost is going to be dependent on your strategy or your business plan, let's say. So the better you are at defining your risk or removing the risk, the lower the cost is going to be. But with that said, there is a cost, and the cost is going to be tailored into how much time something costs to be successful. Excuse me. The time that something costs to be successful. So if you want to be able to make a lot of units really quickly, consistently, what is the cost to be able to perform that? It's just like opening up a car dealership. Well, there is a cost associated with doing it to be successful. If you don't have and understand the cost, then if you don't know how you're going to fail, basically you can't depict your winning. So when you're starting to think about the most efficient way to do something, you've got to be able to calculate the cost. Now, what I'm going to do here, and hopefully the game doesn't give us, it doesn't give me an easy time, because I want to show you guys what happens when it loses, how we can become efficient in what we're doing. All right, so right now what I'm doing is, if you're new to seeing this, if this is something, actually this is the wrong algo. Let me change it really quick. There we go. This is the one I want. All right, so let's clear this. All right, and my whole thing, all right, what I'm doing here now, guys, I'm just putting in the outcomes of all 4 algorithms. If you have not seen me do this, go back and look at other videos. It's the most amazing system that I think exists on the internet. I had one guy had mentioned, why don't I show this with real money? It's a couple reasons why. One, I'm actually teaching this, and I don't want to teach it and also play it live, because you're going to make mistakes, and I don't have time to make mistakes. But secondly, a lot of people think that there's a difference between the simulation and a real game. If you're that kind of person, then you're already defeated, because you're already inside your own head. If you're thinking that the game is somehow different in a live, actually it's easier live than it is playing an RNG. But if you're the kind of person that thinks all of a sudden the game chases you and that kind of a thing, you know, you're not the kind of person I want to work with anyway. So that's one of the reasons why I don't get into all the fluff of showing you money. Thirdly, guys, just because you see someone making money doesn't validate the system. What I'm doing is complete mathematics, and then I will give you time enough to come and prove it for yourself. That way you can, because the only way you would even hit me up to even do this is because you understand the mathematics I'm talking about. Unfortunately, most gamblers don't. Gamblers don't care anything about that. They just want to be able to win. And that's the reason why the industry is what it is. So clearly I'm not appealing to everyone when I do this. But if you understand what I'm doing from a perspective of speed, time, and money, then certainly you're like, all of my team members are having success. That's really what matters. So no, I don't do this live. Like, I'm not going to run the risk of making mistakes. But then too, the videos will be very, very long if I did this live. And I'm not even trying to get the whole world on my team. Like, I don't have to have everybody doing this at all. Because the thing of it is, this is a very fragile industry right now compared to what I'm doing. And what I don't want to do is put too much information out there or have too many people doing it, and then it becomes a big thing. I don't want that. Player and player. All right, so I'm gonna put these outcomes in here. So that's the reason why I don't I don't do live. All right, so let me show you guys how we're gonna play this. So now that we've got 3 outcomes, we're gonna look at the algorithm, which is the highest performing, and it's this one, which is at 100%. And again, every game we play, only one of the algorithms will lose and the other 3 will actually win. We have a huge advantage with this system. If that doesn't make sense to you and me showing you this in this kind of a format, and you have to see it live as if live is some type of different, if it's different for you because there's a mental block for you, then I would suggest you don't do this. There's a lot of people who get hemmed up mentally and they get stimulated mentally when they see money. But if you're really a businessman, you are thinking more about vetting the business process versus how much you think you can make. All right, so we're going to do a double bet here on player. You'd be thinking more about the money, the process for winning. All right, so we won here. And you can see algorithm 1 is at 100%. Algorithm 2 won, algorithm 3 won, and algorithm 4 lost. And you could do this with team play again, guys. Like you could easily do this with team play. As you can see here, there's players 1, players 2. You could do this with a team, or you could do it by yourself. Right today, one of my newest users did 16 units. Jim did 16 units today. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue to play algorithm 1 until it loses. All right, so we're going to be right here on positive hand 1, which is player. We're going to stick right here on algorithm 1 until it loses. All right, and then when it loses, what we're going to do after that, we're going to let 2 games. So we're going to do another positive, which is banker. So we'll do 2 units on banker. And banker wins. And this is something that's happening with all of my users. We're having this kind of success. So for those who have any type of interest in learning, this is very much free and open to you, unless I've banned you from it. There's a couple guys who I have banned from even doing anything that I do. But everyone else, if you're serious about it, then you can certainly come in and test the mathematics, because that's how you're going to learn if something works, not by someone showing you some money. I mean, I know I'm talking to just a handful of idiot gamblers when I say this, but that's the reason why the industry is a billion-dollar industry. It's not because of it's just gambling. People are gamblers, and when you're gambling, that's you eat the rewards and the fruit of gambling, which is losing. All right, so it lost there. We're going to do another double on banker, 2 units on banker. All right, so here's a loss. All right, so you see how we lost here. So that's a -3. We're going to put a -3 here. We're going to update the sheet. Everything else won. And now what we're going to do, we're going to virtually watch 2 games. All right. So we hit this -3. Now what we're going to do, we're going to virtually watch for 2 games. And in virtually watching 2 games, what we're going to be looking for is which algorithm is performing at the highest level after 2 more hands, 2 more games. Player, banker, banker. For example, you see how algorithm 1 just lost again? Well, we didn't have to play that. This is the reason why when we lose once, we do a 2-game virtual watch, because we're going to jump on the algorithm that's performing the highest. And now number 1 is no longer the highest performing algorithm, and we didn't have to pay to find that out. All right, so that's banker. And let's deal 2 more outcomes. Banker, banker. Okay, let's update the sheet. Algorithm 2 is at a loss, and algorithm 3 is at 88%. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to place our bets here on algorithm 3. But we're not going to do 1 unit. We're going to increase our unit bet to 5 units for this one. Reason is because this actual bet, based on our statistics and the data and the previous performance, has a 94-95% win rate. All right, so we're going to increase our minimum bet on that game. All right, so we're going to be on a negative. So negative on banker is player. And we're going to do 5 units on player. Banker comes out and it says a unit on, or positive, which will be 2 units on banker. All right, and banker won. All right, so we literally made 5 units on that because it has a really high success win rate. All right, but even if it should lose, we've never lost 3 games in a row. So that's where we would actually further increase to make the game even more efficient. Now, why would we do so? Now that we've won here, we're going to stay on this algorithm until it loses. All right, so copy, paste, clear, and we're going to go back down to 1 unit. All right, so the first outcome is negative on banker, so we'll be doing a chip on player. Let's go back to 1 unit. Positive. All right, so we're going to do a double on positive, or a double on banker. A tie comes out and we repeat the last outcome and banker wins. Solid 9. Banker wins. And as you can see, the volatility is happening in algo number 2. Now, the reason why that happens is because of the way of the outcome of the cards. The cards are, when they're shuffling the cards, the way that those cards come out creates a pattern, and they're all unique based on whatever the shuffle is. It's going to create a systematic pattern. What this algorithm thing does is it allows us to define and see what those patterns are across 4 different ones, because you can't have volatility in all 4. Hopefully that makes sense to people, but you can't. It's impossible for that to happen. And that's the reason why we have the advantages, and we could see that algo is at 3 is at 90%. You know, you guys are really asleep at the wheel when it concerns this, many. And I know, again, people want to see the glit. I mean, this is the reason why the industry is what it is. There's just an enormous amount of foolishness that people do with their time and money in this industry. All right, so we're going to go positive on this hand, banker. So we'll do a double up on, literally, look like it's a repetitious. Look, the same thing's happening over and over again. This is nothing but bankers. All right, so it finally lost here. Let's update the sheet. And you can see here, it loses here at that -3. But what we're going to do, we're going to wait 2 games and see which algorithm performs in the next 2 games. After the next 2 games, we'll look over the percentages, and based on the highest performing one, we're going to play on it. Player, tie, banker, banker, player, banker, banker. All right, so this was a win, this was a loser, this was a win, and this was a win. All right, so we're gonna do one more. And to give you an idea of how much time something takes, a game of 20 is basically an hour. So you're looking at if you play 20 games on this algorithm, it's about an hour worth of play. All right. So this was the loser. So volatility is happening in 1 and 2 still. Number 3 is still the hot one. It's still at 85%. Everything else is subordinate, so we're going to jump right back on Algo 3. And we're going to do this at a $5 unit. We're going to go up some. And hopefully it loses, because I want to show you guys what I call the lottery. It may not lose because this is a 90+% chance right here. So we're going to go negative, which will be player. We'll do 500. I got money that we're going to win the first hand. Watch this. Boom. Yep. I knew that because of the current pattern. Once you see this enough, you can almost predict them. All right, so let's go with the next outcome, and then we'll populate the sheet. All right. And look at the volatility happening in 1 and 2 still. All right, so we're going to stick right here on Algo 3, and we'll ride it out until it finishes. It is still the top performing at 86, so we will continue on Algo 3. A tie comes out. Really simple to do too, guys. Once, I mean, it's nothing that you really have to learn. All right, so this is a negative, which is opposite of hand 1, player 1. Negative, which will be banker. But we're gonna go back to our base base unit, so which is $100 here. All right, so we won right on the first hand. Now we're gonna deal the next outcome. All right, so let's populate the sheet. Okay. And we are up almost 8 units. So we're going to stick right here on Algo 3, and we do that until it loses. Or until we've gotten the money we wanted out of it. Like, what you don't want to do is just play until it's all gone. Like, you want to leave, your whole objective to going to work is to leave work with more money than you came, but before you came to work. You know, it's amazing how people, they'll go to work and then they'll leave work having made the money but gave the money back. It's ridiculous. It's like, why are you here? If you really, I mean, that's the reason why they have counseling. Like, people really do need psychological help, because it's a mental fix that most people have when it concerns us. They just don't understand what they're doing. So that's the reason why the mentals are really distraught with people in doing this. It's because when you don't know what you're doing, and particularly when it concerns money, you could really do a lot of damage. All right, we're going to stick right here on Algo 3. And negative, which will be player. Player wins, so we get the next outcome. And again, guys, listen, I put my money where my mouth is. Anyone who believes anything different, I invite you to a challenge, publicly, privately, however you want, and you can come and prove this wrong. You can come and show me how this is going to fail in the short and the long term. I'm all for it. But I got all my money on the fact that you can't do it. And if you think you can, it's nothing personal. Come and try. Just come and prove it. Just come and prove it. That's all you got to do. Again, this is the reason why I open it up like this. I educate because I only want people who think for a living. Not. I really have zero tolerance for dumb gambling. It's so stupid. And people's approach to this is that of gambling. All right, so the next hand too will be a positive, which will be banker. All right, so it lost. So this will be the end of this one. All right, so let's just go ahead and populate, because we don't have 2 more games left. Honestly, we probably should have left here anyway, but I just did it just to see however it would go. And that was a loser. And this is a -3. So basically what we'd be doing is, you could see here that we had a high of 10. We're going to probably end up finishing here at a 7. But remember, you know, when you're talking about making money, man, as long as you can make units consistently, that's the name of the game in business. That's the name of the game in life. Can you consistently make profit? It's just in our world, we could always intensify or increase the value of the wage. And that's why I love this industry and I love what I do, because there's nothing like it in the world. But it all came from a different change of perspective. All right. So with that said, guys, you could do this. I do encourage you doing it with a team, not because it actually saves money or anything like that. I mean, actually it does, but you can do it on your own. The reason why I say with a team is because we are having a lot of success. And as you begin to grow your money, you don't want to be a target. All right. And not being a target is going to be the key in the upcoming future. You're going to see a huge run of people trying to turn a dollar in this market soon, because we're going to see a lot of layoffs. We're going to see a lot of stuff in the economy that's going to be collapsing, and people are going to get desperate. Their first step is to come here and get lucky. And that's the last place you want it. This is the last place you want to try and come and test your luck. All right. You can't operate on luck here. You have got to operate on, in anything, you really can't operate on luck, but you certainly can't do it here. You have to know the variables. Now, the cool thing about it is that it's a sterile market and the variables are always repeating. The fact that we're able to look and see how this is all broken out, I can tell you based on the way that these cards were dealt, looking at the volatility, you could see it's all about how they're shuffled and how they're spit out. Now, granted, this is RNG. This is authentic RNG. So it's a random number generator. So that generation, based on that last sequence of outcomes, created this kind of volatility. But again, it can't happen in all 4 at the same time. You can only have 1-3 per game, whereas you'd have 3 wins per game in all the other algos. That's one of the reasons. Hopefully that makes sense. But 3 to 1, it's going to be hard to try and get volatility in all 4 when 3 of the 4 are always winning. It's just mathematically completely impossible to do. So anyway, with that said, guys, if you'd like to come and learn it, I say just take a look at the few videos that I did up front. I did a lot of teaching with those. Take a look at that. And then, of course, when you do come aboard, I will teach you what you need to know, you or your team. If you're by yourself, fine. If you got a team, great. And then I'll give you time enough to come and do exactly what I've done. You could do it in a live game, however you choose it. Doesn't matter to me. But you'd go by this same process and see if what I'm telling you isn't the absolute God honest truth. And again, we have users doing this now. Like, I wouldn't even embarrass myself by telling you guys to come and test it for free so that you can come and you know what I'm saying, waste my time to show it to you for free and then have you test it for free, all because it doesn't work. That didn't even make any sense. So with that said, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I got a lot more content, got a lot more cool content that's not necessarily tied into the process of it all, but more of the nuance, the things you have to understand, perspective on bankroll management, like understanding what that really means in this business, or in business period, but what it particularly means here. Having your bankroll doesn't necessarily mean you're meeting the qualifications for success. You got to understand the business, your strategy. Your strategy, to me, a strategy is the type of business you have, right? In this market, it's the type of business. And based on that strategy, that type of business, it may or may not require more or less from you. You just got to know what that number is, and then you would manage according to that. But what typically happens is that we'll come into the business saying, hey, I only have $500, but I want this in terms of an output. Well, you may not have enough money to afford what you're looking for in terms of output based on your capital, right? And what typically is the issue is not so much the capital, it's the time of which you want something to happen. People want it to happen fast. Well, one of the reasons why this is so valuable is because of our speed at the minimized risk. Our abilities to perform this consistently at minimized risk. That's what creates value as a business owner. Can you increase the profitability of the company without throwing the company into Chapter 13? Without creating more debt, without creating more risk? Can you capture a market at the lowest value for the highest return? That's the nature of business. That's how I approach it. If you're approaching it from a perspective of we're about to have fun Friday night, you're the wrong guy. Just go have fun. You don't need me. Just go have fun. Here, we're actually doing real things. So if you're really about that, if you're really, really serious about this market, seriously, send me an email, permutationspro@gmail.com. Again, you get to see, test it, and all that good stuff, and validate it for yourself. You don't have to be beholden to someone just simply showing you something online, and then so, you could do it. No. We know where the breaking points are. We know where the low points are. We know how we're going to be successful short and long term, right? So much so that it is a public challenge to anyone who thinks differently. I beg of the challenge. Okay. With that said, guys, thanks so much for listening. Till the next time, take care.